And thanks for being there. It is exciting to know that you are joining us on your channel of choice, Africa Independent Television, AIT. Let me welcome you to the Signature Show. My name is Nwabuezenjoko. Now, the long-awaited COVID-19 vaccine has arrived in Nigeria. And as a demonstration of trust, President Muhammadu Buhari, Vice President Yemi Osinbajo, and some other high-profile public office holders have taken the jab. But unfortunately, hiding under the lies and deception they tell their gullible congregations, some religious leaders, including self-appointed, self-anointed spiritual top dogs, bishops, general overseers, are lying against God and science by spreading unsubstantiated claims that the vaccine is a killer or a forceful means of keeping the African continent down. Again, such falsehood is being allowed to fester because Nigeria's response to the COVID-19 pandemic is being driven by politics and a culture of consumption. Now, if you doubt this my position, ask yourself, who is leading Nigeria's COVID-19 drive? The answer is Boss Mustafa, secretary to the government or the federation, a politician. That's the answer. You may say, what of the National Center for Disease Control, NCDC? Yes, it is the agency in charge of Nigeria's consumption. First of information from US and UK on steps to take. Would they replicate locally without any querying of that information? Preventive steps to take, such as closing down the economy and restricting travels, even locally, without scientific evidence of the efficacy of these steps locally, except that US and UK announced those steps. Now, wearing of face masks and creating a new COVID-19 mask import economy, while the entire transportation system of the country remains congested here in Abuja and Lagos, and vehicles are overloaded and overcrowded. This is the Signature Show on AIT. We take a break and return shortly. Please stay with us.
This is SignatureTV.org. Breaking the news. Following the news. Analyzing the news. 247 round the clock. All on the go. SignatureTV.org. News in your pocket.
Now, the Niger State Governor, Sani Bello, last week admitted what a number of informed Nigerians have all along spoken of: de-radicalizing terrorists and bandits and returning them into the society, even as the challenge of the crimes subsist, can be a deadly gamble. Now, last week, I said that we should think a little more deeply into the suggestion by Sheikh Abubakar Gumi that the nation should begin to think more humanism, more pity, more understanding in handling the challenge of banditry. Of course, in doing so, we must make haste with considerable caution, if not trepidation. Now, Governor Sani has provided good reason for being cautious and careful in handling these bandits. He said last week that the bandits tricked the Niger State government with fake or pretended repentance, collected huge sums of money, only to use the money to acquire more deadly weapons to overrun more areas in the state. Before him, the Borno State Governor, Babagana Zulum, had said that de-radicalized Boko Haram terrorists only obtained sensitive information and money and rejoin the group to continue the fight. Are we learning any lessons from these two governors? Well, it is not all about bad news anyway, as Nigerian troops clearing Chikungudu area of Borno State last week eliminated 33 Boko Haram insurgents. Unfortunately, 2 of the gallant soldiers paid the supreme price fighting to keep their nation safe. Our hearts go out to them and their families. And this Sunday, our special report focuses on the mystery helicopters creating challenges of insecurity in Nigeria. Please.
At the onset of Nigeria's insurgency problem in Borno State, communities reported sighting helicopters dropping the Islamist fighters, arms, and other logistics supporting the insurgents. At that time, some commentators wrongly accused the Nigerian military of conducting those helicopter flights. In other words, some elements of the Nigerian military were accused of religious sympathy and working with insurgents to undermine the Nigerian state. The military, of course, denied the accusation, but on the whole, the security agencies seem not to have taken the story of the mystery helicopter as a credible information. With hindsight, the sophisticated hardware which Boko Haram brought into its fight against the Nigerian state shows that ignoring the helicopter story was a big error. That initial accusation of a compromised military surfaced again when, out of his frustrations on the setback in the war against Boko Haram, Borno State Governor Babagana Zulum repeated the refrain of a military whose elements were working against the national interest.
There is serious sabotage in the system. I said it before. When I was attacking Baga, I said there was a sabotage in the system. But people don't understand. Some are saying that I'm trying to condemn the Nigerian military. No, there is sabotage in the system. There is sabotage within the politicians. There is sabotage within the Nigerian military. There is sabotage within the civil servants. For us to, there is corruption in the system also. For us to succeed, we must address this, all these layers.
In 2020, a major attack again took place across 3 local government areas of Niger State. The attack lasted over 5 hours, and the attackers razed communities, killed those who resisted, and took away over 1,000 cattle. While the attack lasted, a helicopter was sighted by the escaping residents flying over the area of the attack. It only flew away after the attack was completed. Was it a mystery helicopter giving cover and information to the attackers? Some informed Nigerians argued that the helicopter must have been that of a security agency, providing vital information to ground forces to react appropriately.
The helicopter hovering, reliably, we have been informed that as soon as there is a sign of the bandits, the Air Force in Kaduna and sometimes in Abuja will enforce. Oh, what is happening is the bandits will now notice the helicopter and they will now run into the cave. As soon as the helicopter hovered and leaves, they will now surface and attack, and the villagers will now say, oh, the helicopter brought them.
Again, as in the case of Borno State, Boko Haram, which released the video of his arrival and encampment in Niger State, and bandits who have taken over forests and remote locations in the state, now operate with sophisticated lethal weapons. How have they accessed those weapons? Was it the helicopter that provided the weapons? As if to resolve the mystery of these helicopters, the federal government 3 weeks ago announced a no-fly order over Zamfara State. Zamfara State has become the epicenter of banditry, to the extent that the supreme commander of the bandits was ushered into Government House Gusau to negotiate a truce because they had such sophisticated arms and ammunition that Nigeria security agents turned tail in any encounter to stop their kidnapping and sacking of communities.
His Excellency the President has approved, based on our recommendation, the imposition and enforcement of a ban on all mining activities in Zamfara State with immediate effect until further notice. He has directed the Honorable Minister of Defense and the National Security Advisor to deploy massive military and intelligence assets to restore normalcy to that part of the country. He has also approved that Zamfara State be declared a no-fly zone with immediate effect.
Before the presidency admitted that helicopters were dropping logistics for these criminal bandits in Zamfara State, before the presidency accepted that the helicopters were involved in ferrying out illegally mined gold from Zamfara State, was there no mechanism for determining the mission, destination, and operators of helicopters in Nigeria? Who or which institution is responsible for keeping Nigerian airspace secure?
The Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority should know all this. It is within their purview and their responsibility to actually grant permits within the airspace of Nigeria for civil aviation. Along with them is the Nigerian Air Force that actually should also have an umbrella defense across the country in order to monitor all this. So I am saying that it should be in conjunction. The Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority has the oversight and the responsibility for the entire airspace of the country, while the Nigerian Air Force has some sort of complementary role. And in fact, when it comes to defense and security, it's within their purview to also check that.
For incurable optimists, this must be comforting to hear that the federal government has put together a high-caliber committee to reinvent the Nigerian Defense Headquarters. Doing this is an admission that something is not right. But as suggested by the Comptroller General of the Nigerian Immigration Service, there must be layers of responsibility with a body that can centrally control and manage Nigeria's security issues.
And government should create a system that will monitor the ability of agencies to collaborate. It's key. If immigration sees something at the border and if it calls an agency, let government know that that agency has been called and has been able to respond. In the US, it is called tasking and coordination. So you have somebody who can task and coordinate this. If immigration is asked, there is somebody, an aircraft landed this evening, and it is carrying a suspected terrorist by information available, and immigration slips, didn't check the terrorists enter this country, somebody should pay the price.
Helicopters and private jets are supposed to get clearance from the Department of State Service. The Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority is supposed to clear commercial flights. These agencies provide the identity, operation, destination, and mission of aircraft within their jurisdiction. But to whom do they report? And in the case of failure, as in the mystery helicopters, who should pay the price?
Well, thanks for staying with us. Now, last Sunday, we promised you that a document titled the Economic Bill 2021, which seeks to provide a new revenue sharing formula, a framework, restructure Nigeria, create new states, and remove local government areas as units of the Federation, was being circulated and ascribed to the Buhari administration. Of course, I said last Sunday that we could not authenticate that claim. This Sunday, we begin our interrogation of that document. We have already reached out to Chief Ayo Adebanjo of the Afenifere and Professor Edet Ekeredo from Cross River State. He's a political scientist. They will subsequently be our guests on this program and on this issue. But for this Sunday, Honorable Jonathan Ashake, the president of the Southern Kaduna People's Union, SOCAPU, whose people are supposed to benefit from one of the proposed states in the document, is our guest in the conversation segment. Please stay with us. Hello, all. Let me welcome you to the conversation segment of the Signature Show this Sunday. And let me remind you that in the last edition of this program, we brought you some sections of a document that has been put in the public domain, essentially in the media domain. And those who have put out that document claim that it is coming from the federal government. Of course, I did tell you last Sunday that I could not authenticate that that document came from the federal government. But the issues therein are so that we cannot just let them go. So this afternoon, we'll be looking at what has been called the Economic Bill 2021, which indeed is an effort to restructure the Nigerian nation. It is said to be a kite being flown by the federal government. I'm impressed about it, if you ask me, but my opinion doesn't count. And so this afternoon, I have as my guest Honorable Jonathan Ashake. Honorable Ashake is the president of the Southern People's Union, SUCAPU. Honorable Jonathan, you're welcome to the conversation.
Thank you very much.
This is the second time you and I are conversing. The last time it was issues pertaining to a situation in Kaduna State and matters arising therefrom. Now, let me take you back a little bit to what transpired about 2 weeks ago, when Islamic cleric Ahmed Gumi visited so-called bandits in the Kaduna forests and came out. Some materials came out from that, his conversation with them. I also made a comment on that last Sunday when the bandits said that they were being armed by the government. And I said the bandits were confused, that maybe they couldn't differentiate between the elite who are interested in creating crisis and the government. Honorable Jonathan, have you heard of what those bandits said? Does it sound credible to you?
Thank you. I have heard what the bandits said. In fact, that statement by one of those bandits had gone viral. He spoke in Hausa, and he said that if anybody thinks that they can have all the power, the guns, to do what they are doing without the help of government, then that person is deceiving himself. That every bit of what they have was given to them by government. But they are not the only ones. As a leader of a socio-cultural group, SOCAP, I have interacted with our people, particularly victims of these incessant attacks and massacre in our communities, and victims of these mindless kidnappings that have been going on. And each time you interact with them, survivors of these heinous crimes will tell you that those bandits in the bush, in the forest, have told them that there is the hand of government officials in their activities. Each time you will hear testimonies that these bandits keep lamenting that they were brought in for the purpose of the 2015 general elections, to chase the then President Goodluck Jonathan's government away. And that they were brought in from different parts of the African sub-region. And that after that, they were abandoned. So they are helpless, they need to do what they need to do to survive. Now that is one part of the story. Now, if they had consistently said so, there is another statement that has been going viral, that a former PDP chairman, national chairman, who was one of those that defected and formed the APC, and again left the APC, made the same confession that they brought in these bandits from different parts of West Africa for the purpose of chasing Goodluck Jonathan away. Now, if these testimonies are going on, in fact, I can still remember one. The people that were kidnapped in Niger State recently, those women, one of the women again made a video that went viral. She said the same thing, that the bandits said they are being sponsored by government, that the bandits said they were brought in for the purpose of the election. And so all these testimonies from different angles, who are we to say that there is no substance of truth in it? And if they said government is part of it, then the government could be government official. And if he's a government official, he's an elite. A government official could be a commissioner. A government official could be a minister. A government official could be a governor. A government official could be a senator of the Federal Republic. A government official could be a head of a parastatal. And all these officials, and they're all rights, they are elites for you to be at that position. So if they are elites and they say government officials are part of this, then who are we to say no, that we want to make some amendment to this statement? No. I believe it in totality that what is playing out is more than meets the eye.
Let us take the one that meets the eye. You know that I said this is just an aside. The core conversation this afternoon is that document I opened this conversation with. The document is titled...
Sorry,
yes.
Before the document.
Yes.
I thought you were still on it because I'm not done yet with this.
On this matter.
On this matter. It's passionate to my heart. I have come on public several times to show how passionate I'm on this issue. You see, we have a religious leader, Sheikh Abubakar Gumi, who has been perambulating everywhere across the north, demanding, advocating for amnesty for these killer herdsmen. The other day we were on IIT together, and I said I don't trust him. I told the world that I don't believe in the sincerity and commitment of what he is doing. I said that I believe it is just one of those moves to again siphon money in the name of amnesty. And not long after that, I was proved right. He had gone in to address bandits in the forest. And somebody recorded that. He addressed the bandits in Hausa. And it was shocking to discover what a person who wears a religious regalia, is well respected as a sheikh, comes in the form of an angel of peace, but carrying out clandestine activities, such as inciting the bandits against the very public. First of all, in Hausa, that video went viral, and it is under scrutiny up till now. He said that the Nigerian military is divided into two. He told the bandits, and that they should know that Nigerian military is divided between the non-Muslims and the Muslim soldiers. and that it is the non-Muslim soldiers that chase them to the forest to hunt them down and kill them. That Muslim soldiers are not part of it. And everybody that heard this thing was asking, what's going on? He did not stop there. He went ahead to say that what breaks his heart is that when these bandits go to revenge the killing of their own colleagues within the communities, that they go there and kill everybody irrespective of your religious or ethnic standing. And what does that suggest? He was suggesting to them that yes, it's enough, it's good that they can go for revenge, which they have always claimed. Each time that our communities are being massacred, being destroyed, being displaced, when these bandits are caught, when these killer herdsmen, let me call them by their name, are caught, they will say they are on a vengeance mission. Even the government itself, the federal government, I know one time there was such killing, mindless killing in my place, in southern Kaduna. Garba Shehu, the presidential spokesperson, came out and said it was vengeance killing without any proof of that. So which means that there is some kind of connectivity between these. And so he now warned the bandits, cautioned them that when you go for such revenge mission, be careful. Kill only those that are killing you. That means, let me extrapolate. Be careful. Kill only the non-Muslims. Kill only the Christians. Kill only those that don't belong to your fold. And then he ended up by saying, so unfortunately, that look, the other time some women were kidnapped, it was an eyesore when I saw a woman dressed in hijab holding a child. That certainly was a Muslim woman. That ought not to be so, he told them. What signal was he sending? That when they go to kidnap, when they go to kill, when they go to destroy, when they go to displace, they should do that within communities that they perceive as non-Muslim communities. Does that appear like an angel of peace? Should this nation take him serious? And I said on air the other day that such a person should be investigated, more so going by his antecedents. I remember very well some years ago when he was detained in Saudi Arabia. Why the Saudi Arabian government detained him, from the reports we read, was that there was some kind of communication he had with this Abdul Muttalib chap that wanted to bomb the Boeing 747 plane that would have killed hundreds of innocent souls. That was the most dangerous terroristic attempt. And so there was a linkage with him. That is a dangerous species. And the Saudi Arabian government, that is a serious government, detained him. But the then government of Goodluck Jonathan made diplomatic shuttles through our governor then, Governor Yekoa, until the man was set free. But soon after, I will never forget this, soon after Yekoa died in a helicopter crash, he came out and made a public statement that Yekoa died because he died trying to shortchange Muslims in Kaduna State. And it was such an unfortunate thing that somebody who bent backward to save you in his death, you could say this. To me, that sounded like an evil, only an evil man could do this.
Honorable, let us not arouse passion.
Now, there's no passion. Now, let me learn.
I'll abridge you here because people are watching you, and this could also inflame passion. There was also something Sheikh Gumi said, which is creative, which is instructive. And I said so last Sunday. He said that if a nation could have space in its heart to forgive soldiers who plotted coups and committed treason, soldiers who created a civil war that took more than 3 million lives, some of them who have declared themselves heads of state out of illegality, and the country has a big heart to forgive them, why can we not forgive bandits who, in the first instance anyway, were recruited by the elite? That sounds somebody with a large heart and asking the nation to think beyond revenge and vengeance. Think more, have more milk of human kindness, have more spirit of forgiveness, and then we can create peace.
Do you know what? Oh, I weep for this nation. We forget too quickly. And when people come and with their sugar-coated mouth and they speak sweet words, we forget of the atrocities that have gone on. What is the basis of a comparison he is making with soldiers that plotted coup? The soldiers that plotted a coup are within an organized system. For them to be pardoned, there is a process that ought to be taken. The other day he was comparing the Niger Delta militants and the killer herdsmen, and that they are the same. In fact, quite unfortunate, he said that the killer herdsmen learned the business of kidnapping from the Niger Delta militants. What is more laughable? What is more insulting to the common sensibility of every one of us to make such comparison? Look, the Niger Delta militants were fighting a just cause because you can see that the resources that every one of us in this nation depend upon, all these local governments and all these states that we have just created indiscriminately, always wear their running boots to the center to collect revenue they don't know where it comes from. And that is why we have been talking about this restructuring. That when you create, if you want, create 40, 50 local governments, 70 local governments in your state, but take responsibility. Now, when he said so, he has forgotten that this oil that we all depend upon, that he himself depends upon, is exploited right from the Niger Delta. And it is degrading the environment. They can no longer go to fish. They can no longer go to farm. There were no jobs for them. And they agitated. And even what they did, they never went outside the Niger Delta region to kill in any communities. But tell me today, is there any community today, is there any region in Nigeria that has not been affected by the menace of the herdsmen, the killer herdsmen? Is there any? None. That is
okay.
You
have raised a very
and let me learn because I'm trying to make a comparison and then juxtapose the two together. Now, if he said that the Niger Delta militants were also involved in sabotaging economic activities, they were breaking pipelines. Yes, it is the oil. And they wanted government attention. But what are the pipelines of the killer herdsmen? Those that stay in the bush. And mind you, the president himself had, in 2016, told the nation that these killer herdsmen were coming from Libya and Mali and other West African countries. The governor of Kaduna State had told the nation that these killer herdsmen were coming from Senegal and Mali and Niger and other African countries. And that in fact he had even traced to meet with them and paid them money so that they would stop killing. So which means that majority of these people, these criminals, these terrorists are coming from outside the country. And so are we going to take Nigerians' money to begin to give amnesty to these killer herdsmen that are coming from outside the country? People have come from outside the country, illegally broken into your borders, kill your citizens, and you don't bring them to book. You want to get money for them. And let me tell you something very instructive. In my place, in southern Kaduna, majority of those communities that have been invaded have not returned to their communities. Ditto for Plateau, Nasarawa, Taraba, Adamawa, Benue, most communities in the Middle Belt and in the southern region. Now, if these were to go by the statements of the president and the governor of Kaduna State, and the confessions of many that they are coming from outside the country, and then we want to take Nigerians' money, instead of bringing them to justice, we want to take Nigerian money to settle them. Now they will say one of the terms of the settlement is to settle them in a land. Which lands? We know that some of these lands, their names have been changed to Fulani names. So they will settle them in lands of indigenous owners that have been chased out. And yet the Nigerian government has not found the reason to find justice for these people that have been chased out. Do you think we have solved the problem? Like I always say, there is more than meets the eye.
No, Honorable, we are trying to solve the problem, and that's why I'm insisting on our conversing on that document, because that document...
To solve the problem means you must know the problem.
The document seems to have recognized the problem. And the document, let us look at the document first. By that document, which is said to be a kite being flown by the federal government, by the Buhari administration.
Which document is that?
I'm going to discuss it now.
Okay.
It's called the Economic Bill 2021. And it is a bill being flown as a kite. Remember I said I cannot authenticate it yet because to me it looks so beautiful. The federal government wants to restructure Nigeria into 6 zones, with each zone having 7 states. To do that, it wants to have 7 states per zone. It also wants to begin the gradual movement of revenue sharing formula back to 1957-1958 structure, where states will own 50% of all their revenues and pay 50% to the federation account. And that 50% into the federation account will still be broken in such a way that the actual money the center will be spending is about 23-24%. The rest will be in pools that states can also access. That document also says that local governments, which just mentioned now, will no longer be the business of the federal government. States can create their local governments and fund them. That document also provides that any state that is not viable, in other words, cannot meet its budget, the federal government will declare a state of emergency and begin to administer it. To me, that seems to be at the heart of the contention over the Nigerian nation. Don't you think that this government, therefore, if that document indeed belongs to it, that this government is thinking, this government is listening, this government is being creative, this government wants to solve the real challenges of the nation. And it will address, Honorable, it will address some of these issues I've raised.
Exactly, that is why I'm laughing. But when I'm laughing, I'm wearing a laughing face. But inside of me, I'm weeping. I'm weeping. Why? Because Nigeria has become a field where everybody comes and he says, let me quickly play my game like chess and do my dribbling like football. And when the time is up, I get out. Most of our leaders don't come to look at issues dispassionately and try to find solutions to them. Now, let me come back to this issue of this document you are talking about. I saw the document on social media, though. And when I just started reading the first few paragraphs, I saw that, oh, restructuring. I say, sure, restructuring by the government of Muhammadu Buhari? Something new is happening. Then when I started reading the following paragraphs, I saw that, oh, out of this restructuring, Nigeria was going to be, 7 additional states were going to be added. I mean, to make 42 out of this 36. And I looked down and I saw that, oh, each of the 6 geopolitical zones was going to be made of 7 states. And if you multiply 7 times 6, you have 42 states. And with a state created at the north, FCT,
there is the northeast, Abuja becomes a state, and that's the Gurara state.
Exactly, Gurara state. Now, Gurara state, of course, myself coming from southern Kaduna, That is a state we have been agitating for long, for over 25 years. That is the state we've been struggling to have because of the obvious,
yeah, but only we should be excited by that.
That is why I say I should have been the first to be excited. But because too many times we have, heard all these sounds, but we have not seen any sign. What do I mean by this? This government, right from inception, they met on the ground the resolutions of the 2014 National Confab. Out of these resolutions, we've never had a national confab that made wonderful resolutions that meets up with the aspirations and the yearnings of Nigerians like that. Everything was packaged together. And state creation is one of those. But this government threw that document away and said they are not interested, outrightly. So when I read that document, I say it cannot possibly emanate from this government. Maybe somebody is just flying a kite. Somebody is just trying to scratch, where it's itching for Nigerians. But if it indeed emanates from this government, then two things, I think. One, the heat is on. The insecurity that is all over the country, occasioned by the banditry in the northwest, occasioned by the killer herdsmen in the middle belt and in the southwest and other parts of Nigeria, occasioned by Boko Haram insurgency in the northeast and all other criminal activities, has overheated the system so much that this government knows that it is too hot to hold this country again in their hands. And what do? To divert attention, to cause people to go and begin to struggle elsewhere, so that they can go on with what I perceive as an agenda that is being pursued. That is why this document will come at this time. If not, from 1999, when I went to the House of Representatives, a committee was formed for constitutional amendment in the House. At the expiration of the Obasanjo regime of 8 years tenure in 2007, that had not seen the light of the day. Up till today, but each time memos are called for state creation. And so it appears that every government that feels the heat will go and regurgitate something that had been forgotten, that they believe is going to attract the interest of Nigerians. And then they'll begin to fly it, and it will keep Nigerians busy.
Only but I have a worry here. Let me tell you my worry. And my worry arises from available facts.
Before you are worried, let me just land
Yes, because it will help you. It will help you really.
No. Before you are worried.
Yes.
Now this kite that is being flown.
Yes.
Now, look at it. If I look at it, I look at what do I think is the real interest of this administration. Look at the huge amounts of money that is going into the construction of infrastructure between Nigeria and Niger. The amount of borrowing that is going on today is going on into this huge infrastructural development, not for Nigerians, but between Nigeria and Niger, to link Nigeria and Niger. Does that send a signal?
In 2023, Nigerians go back to election. A party that wants to win election in 2023 should create trust. And one way of creating trust is to redeem your promise. If the APC that is at the center made a promise to restructure, if APC has been in power for 8 years and still wants to win election in 2023, it should be seen to be wanting to redeem the biggest promise it made.
Now let me just cut in here. Do you know the main vehicle that this government today brought to power? The main vehicle was the security situation, to solve the problem of insecurity. if they really want to buy back people's confidence, yes, they made so many promises, but if they should put them in hierarchical order, in order of a scale of a preference, that security thing should come number one. And if it should come number one, if they had said, oh, this is what we have decided to do with insecurity now. But let me tell you, the bad news is that insecurity is still going at exponential proportion.
But let me give you the good news.
Yes.
The good news is that the federal government has set up a high-powered security committee made up of security eggheads to look at the entire structure right from the defense headquarters to be sure that Nigerian agencies can arise to the insecurity occasion. Isn't it good news?
Well, on paper, yes. It's good news on paper. And we've had this good news from 2015 when they came on board. And each time you will see that they will call for a meeting, they will do this, but after that, the news media have reported it, and that's the end of the matter. So if it is about constituting of a high-powered committee, this is not the first time. We want to see action. And if there should be any action, where they should start is not about, you must be alive to be a member of any local government or any community or any state. If I want to enjoy Gorara State today, I want to be alive with my family. But with this insecurity, where people can no longer go to their communities and sleep, then what should be the priority? And the borders we're talking about, the linkages of infrastructure with the Nigerian government. What is it all about? Is that the priority? The controller of general controller of immigration should know it better that to secure our borders is not a difficult thing. Nigeria is endowed with human and natural resources enough to be able to do this. Trump did it in America, as big as America is. And that is why the then President Trump said,
Shake, do I quote you, build a wall?
A country,
Build a wall?
Build the wall. A country without borders. I'm using the words of President Trump then. A country without borders is, a nation without borders is not a nation. And that is the truth. That is where Nigeria found ourselves today. The people that are coming to perpetrate this crime, these atrocities, killing our citizens, look, we can checkmate them. We can stop them. It doesn't take any rocket science to stop these people. But I believe somehow they are meeting up with a set agenda. And so the borders are left deliberately porous, and then we now go and maximize the minimum, and they minimize the maximum by trying to put in huge money that we don't have. We go to borrow everywhere so that we can build infrastructure between Nigeria and neighboring country. When inside the country, just the road between Abuja and Kaduna, follow that road, apart from the kidnappings, or between Abuja and Kano, apart from the kidnappings, that's a major highway between 3 different great cities. But follow that road and you will weep for yourself that for more than 5 years, that road is still looking the way it is looking. But we have money to build rail lines, to build refineries in the Niger Republic. And you want to tell me that it is now to make people to come in through a border they can be checked?
Honorable Sheke, are we not thinking small? Because me, I'm a black man.
Yes.
And I like the black continent. Do not forget that some of these boundaries, Niger Republic, Nigeria, Chad, Benin Republic, Ghana, and all that, are just pencil marks created in Berlin by some white interests. If there's a means of returning to what we used to be, peacefully, progressively, isn't it to be encouraged?
Is there anybody that's not a pencil mark? Does that reduce your importance? Does that make it that you should not take care of yourself? We're pencil marks in the house of God. But we take care of ourselves. We'll go to see the doctor. When you have a toothache, you won't sleep. When you go to your house, you want to secure the environment. That is what it means. So if there were pencil marks in the house of Berlin and whatever, we have already become nations, and we are defined like that by the United Nations. And so we have Nigeria, we have Niger. And if Nigerian leaders cannot take care of Nigeria, then something else is playing out. And I'm beginning to think that maybe, by what I'm seeing, is the North already thinking that Niger is and parts of the North? Because I heard that story sometimes, that there is already a proposal, and in fact, a governor, is it the president or the governor in Niger, had agreed, no, there's been a public, that agreed that he wants to be a part of Nigeria. Well, so maybe that is what is being arranged. But we must be able to show that the 36 states we have, we are capable of taking care of them before we go to invite more states from somewhere.
I want to take something away from you. Isn't there any positive dimension to this document? Although I keep repeating that I cannot authenticate that it's a federal government document. And now that there's a review of the 1999 Constitution, no matter how diversionary anybody may say it is, isn't there anything we can take away to give Nigerians some hope and ask Nigerians to contribute, even if it means pushing them so hard as to ram this document through?
That is what I'm saying. There is nothing new in that document. It has always been the wish of the Nigerian people. So that is the same document that has been in circulation. It has never been different. But the situation we find ourselves as Nigerians today can be comparable to what I'm about to illustrate. If you have a weak law, you know weak law? Yes. That
very
element
painful.
That
you can't sleep.
That comes alive at night only. It refuses that you sleep. You will sleep. The ceilings will be going round. So much pain. Now, if you have weak law and different doctors, I don't mind whether they are traditional doctors or whatever, anybody who steps up and says he wants to give you a cure, you will accept. If he doesn't, when another person, they tell you another person or another native doctor or another herbalist or another doctor is there that has the cure for it, you will welcome him because you are under pain. The pain is so excruciating that you want anybody that can cure you. Yeah. And truly, when he comes, if he says swallow anything, even if he gives you a scorpion, you are ready to swallow it. And that's the situation Nigerians have found themselves. Even if this document goes out, another one comes, you will see people that are still jostling, trying to believe, because they are in dire need of this liberation from these shackles of oppression that have completely changed every one of us. We see resources everywhere. We see manpower everywhere, but it is useless. You can only imagine the number of graduates we have today that are roaming the streets, not because God has not endowed this nation with the natural resources that we can harness and make industries everywhere and catch up with the Community of Nations, but leadership is that which is lacking. So because of that, Nigerians are looking for any opportunity where something will come up, either in the form of good leadership or in the form of restructuring, that will give people that opening that they can express themselves. So hope is not yet lost. But as for this government's sincerity, if this government tells me, good morning, I will go out and look at the sun to really see where the position of the sun is.
Please, I know when the government says it is morning, maybe it is morning. But for Honorable Ashake, he wondered whether this is a reflection from an energy-saving bulb that's bringing the light. In the past 40 minutes or thereabout, I've been conversing with Honorable Jonathan Ashake, who is the president of the Southern Kaduna People's Union, SOCAPU. Honestly, the first segment of our conversation was supposed to be a tangent, something on their side, but he raised so many issues therefrom. We've also looked at the document that is flying around, essentially in the social media, but people are attributing it to the Buhari administration, trying to restructure the country in order to attend to some of its most telling challenges. He doubts, indeed, whether that document comes from that government. And if he cancels that government, he still says he has his worries and his doubts that it is sincere. But the document is there. What you make of it, the conversation will continue. Honorable Ashake, thank you for coming to the show.
Thank you.
Now, before I leave you this Sunday, I wish to remind all of us that Nigerians used to be the happiest people on this earth. I really wonder whether we still are. But some signs, like the one I'm about to show you now, and you're about to watch, they make us happy, they make us laugh. Well, while we do not forget that we all have a stake in our happiness in Nigeria. Enjoy your Sunday afternoon, and good afternoon. I'm Wabozen Joko.
We're forgetting that we need each other. We're forgetting that we need to look out for each other. We're forgetting that except the least of us is taken care of, that the best of us cannot survive. We're forgetting that it's one world and it's a very small world. I've traveled across all the continents, and I can tell you, we need each other. It's such a small world that if we don't learn to love and respect ourselves and forget those things that we think are important but are actually unimportant, and if we do not have the courage to speak up when we should, then we set every one of us up for trouble.